data mining, methods, and affordability of data processing software. So our today's webinar, Business Analytics and its application, make us aware about this. And for this today, we have with us our eminent speaker, Mr. Neeraj Juneja. Mr. Juneja is currently working as a Director Research and Development in ITG Telematics Private Limited for the past 3 years. He has completed his MCA and MTech from IP University. He has a teaching experience of 17 years to BTech and MCA student. Also, he has conducted a lot of workshops, value-added courses in the area of application development and Internet of Things. He has also been enrolled in the TEQUIP program of government engineering colleges for conducting student development programs in the area of machine learning and business analytics. Also, he has conducted various corporate training programs and sessions. On behalf of D.A.V Centenary College, I welcome you, sir. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Ankur Agarwal to say a few words. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Kumud ma'am. Very warm welcome to all the participants present here in the webinar. And I really welcome our expert speaker for today's webinar, Mr. Neeraj Juneja. I feel very fortunate to welcome you, sir, here in this webinar. And as Kumud ma'am has just told us that Mr. Neeraj Juneja has a very strong profile and has been into academics for almost 17 years. He is a very dynamic personality and has been involved in training and career development with the students in colleges and universities also. And after his stint in academics, now he is an established entrepreneur and has excelled in his field and now has set an example for everyone. So today I feel his deliberation is definitely going to benefit all the students here, all the participants present here. And I welcome you, sir, and not taking much of the time because I think that is a valuable time that we have got from you and we'll like to spend it more on the topic and we'll like to listen to you. And I welcome you again. And now I hand over the mic to you and I'll invite you to start the deliberation. Neeraj, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Ankur ma'am, and the rest of all the teaching fraternity belonging to this prestigious institution, D.A.V Centenary College, Faridabad. And thanks for this opportunity of, sharing my experience, experience when I was a part of this teaching fraternity, when I was a part of this academic community. Thanks for sharing both the experiences, academics as well as when I am a part of the industry. So currently, as we are running a GPS-based organization, here also we are using business analytics. So what I'll do, I'll actually, rather than presenting a slide, I'll start off with a use case which we generally use in our organization to start with. So like we are a GPS-based company where we provide vehicular tracking to all our customers and clients. So vehicular tracking data which they require 24 hours a day, we provide them that vehicular data, right? So we are talking about data analytics. So rather than going the conventional way, telling you what all data analytics, what all business analytics is, I'm starting off with this use case. So what we generally do is we kind of document this data on our server, and 24 hours a day, we keep on providing this data to our clients. So we thought of an innovative way to share this particular data to other stakeholders. So like, for example, there are a lot of vehicles which are stuck in a particular jam, right, on Delhi roads, Delhi being an urban area. So there are a lot of vehicles which are stuck in a jam. So we started sharing our data, of course, with the permission of our clients. We started sharing this data with some of the marketing agencies. Now, those marketing agencies, what they do, they actually, based on this data, based on the analytics performed on this data, they launch offers, for example, and they also decide the positioning of the billboards and various signboards, where these signboards or billboards are to be placed on the road, so that when the person who is driving a vehicle just passes by that billboard and just happens to see that billboard, then whatever advertisement is getting displayed on that billboard or signboard, they are able to see through that particular advertisement, and they can later on become a potential buyer, potential consumer of that particular product. So this innovative idea actually came to us after some discussion, that can we make use of this particular data. So we always keep on thriving and we always keep on researching that how can we make use of this data which is available in voluminous amount. So all of you must agree, be it students or teaching faculty, data is in abundance. But how to actually make use of this data is something which interests us a lot, right? And which is of the most interest to us. So how can we make use of this data? That is the prevalent question right now, because data is in abundance. So this is how we made use of the data which was available to us all the time. Although our stakeholders, our clients, they were not at all worried. They said, you can share the data, no issues. And we shared it. And now we have tied up with a lot of marketing agencies so that they can make use of this data, and they can position the signboards, billboards, everything. So now going the conventional way, after giving you this use case, can I share my slide also?
Yes, sir.
Do I have the permission?
Yes, sir, you can.
Yes.
Okay. Just a moment. So can you see this, all of you? So we'll move with the basics of analytics and what are the types of analytics, because most of the students, I pre-assume that they might not be aware of what all types of analytics do we have in the market, and the life cycle we do follow in business analytics, right? Because it is very, very important for us to go in a streamlined way. We cannot think of just jumping onto the analytics tools and adopting the expensive strategies straight away. So we have to decide that what will be the life cycle of this business analytics, right? And we are going to get ourselves exposed to the tools which are used in the industry. I'm not able to scroll through my slides. Why is it happening? Yeah, now it's working. Yeah, so as we talked about earlier, also that data is available in humongous amounts, right? So data availability is not an issue. Actually, chunking out that data and filtering out the useless portions of that data is a big issue. So we have humongous amount of data, and from multiple sources we are collecting that data. Primary or secondary data we are collecting from multiple sources, and we are kind of performing something on that data, doing some kind of pre-processing, right? And then we are able to derive some insights which are helpful to make some decisions in our businesses, right? So whenever we use analytics, we should always have a motive of converting our data into meaningful business insights, right? So that is the basic purpose of using the data and using analytics, right? So now, is it that simple that we have so much of data and we can convert it into meaningful business insights? Is it such a simple activity? No. Actually, reality is far away from what we theoretically hypothesize, right? Our hypothesis is we need to convert our data into meaningful insights, but the reality is far away from this because very less amount of good data is available and there is a lot of messy data available, right? So we need to actually scrub the data, we need to cleanse the data, and we need to derive the useful portion of the data so that we are able to derive or we are able to actually derive those insights which are useful to us. And we also need to remove the noisy part of the data later on when we talk about the output, right? So as an input, we are getting the data and we are filtering it, we are scrubbing it, we are cleaning it. And in the output portion, we are trying to remove all the noise so that what we are left with is actual meaningful insights, which are helpful in making the correct decisions, right? I'll talk about those decisions later on. Now, most of the people, what they perceive data analytics or business analytics as drawing these beautiful charts, presenting these dashboards and drawing these bar graphs and then visualization, right? So they perceive business analytics as this only. But there is a lot more associated with business analytics other than drawing these, other than presenting these beautiful charts. Right? For example, let's talk about some of the use cases and examples. There is a credit card company having this type of data available with them. As you can see, there are a lot of attributes which are available. Age, then the person's job, then marital status, then education, default, whether he is a defaulter or not, then the balance which he's actually keeping in the credit card account, right? Now, if there is an offer being launched by the credit card company, who is a potential subscriber to that offer? If the company wants to know that, now it is a decision, right? It is a question. So always business analytics always starts with posing a business question. Always, you should remember. I appreciate that you all belong to a scientific domain and technical domain, but understanding the business is the most important aspect of business analytics, right? So we should always start our journey of business analytics by posing some of the business questions. Like in this particular data, if we have, we must ask ourselves, this credit card company must ask, first of all, who might subscribe to a credit card offer out of all these customers already, which are existing with the credit card company, right? Now, there is one more case, that is a technology company, right? And there is a lot of iteration going on. People are leaving, people are coming in, right? New people are joining the organization. Already people who are experienced enough, they are leaving the organization. Now, this technical company is very much frustrated with this iteration rate and this employee turnover. People keep on coming and going, so they do not want to get rid of their experienced staff. So they might ask this particular question by looking at this data. How can we limit the employee turnover, right? So if the employees are leaving at a rapid rate, at a frequent rate, how can they limit that particular turnover? So like you can see in this particular table, there are a lot of technicians, research scientists. So they have gained exposure, they have gained experience, and now the company doesn't want them to actually leave the organization, right? So they have to go into this particular type of data and develop some insights. And on the basis of this, they can somehow control this employee turnover. Now there is a regional bank, third case, who is most likely to default on their loan, right? So there is a data which is given, and you might have heard about credit risk assessment, right? Now, credit risk assessment means if based on the demographics, the bank is able to judge that there is a customer base which is more likely to act as a defaulter, then of course bank will not be lending that money to those group of customers, right? So as you can see in this particular table, loan amount is given, loan term is given, then interest rate is given, then installment is given. So based on this, the bank is going to derive that who is most likely to act as a defaulter on their loan, right? So all these are very, very critical areas of business analytics. Now, there is a lot of terminology, or we can say jargons, which are being used in this domain. We call it as business analytics, we call as business intelligence, decision science, data science, right? There are a lot of things. But there is a common attribute associated with all these jargons, that we eventually want our data to be converted into useful insights, right? Which can help us take some business decisions. So always think about that. Think about this domain as a facilitator to our business, right? So I have earlier also spoken about this, and again emphasizing on this fact that though you all belong to technical background, but understanding the business is the core idea, and it is the starting step in this particular journey of data analytics or business analytics. Now, what type of analytics are there? If we talk about business analytics, it is broadly categorized into 3 different types. The first one, from where the journey starts, is a descriptive analytics, right? So we need to dig deeper into the past, that what happened in the past. So that is what descriptive analytics is all about, right? So if we have a business question, right? So you must understand what is the first step. First step is asking yourself the right question, right? Then the second step is we need to decide that which particular analytics technique we are going to use based on these types of analytics. The first one is descriptive analytics, right? So we need to dig deeper into the past, right? And what happened in the past, why it is happening, right? Although the next is your predictive analytics, that what could happen in the future. So these two, predictive and prescriptive, these two types of analytics, they deal with future outcome, whereas descriptive analytics deal with the past. So what could happen is predictive analytics, and what should happen is prescriptive analytics. So based on prescription, what should happen, right? So there is one more analytics, although it is not mentioned on this slide, that is called diagnostic analytics. Diagnostic is whatever happened in the past, why did it happen? Very, very important. We need to also answer the question why, right? So why did it happen? And whatever happened in the past, why did it happen? Like, for example, if there is a region from where a lot of defaulters are coming, and the bank has to actually look into this fact, that why it is happening, why from that particular region only a lot of defaulters are coming, right? So that is something to do with descriptive analytics. Now, there is one more very, very popular case, although it is not mentioned on this slide. That popular case is, you all might have read it in your books of data mining, that whenever we go to a retail store and on the shelf itself, we see that 2 or more products, they are kept together, right? Now, we use some kind of association rule mining for that particular thing. And whenever those 2 products are kept together, there is a logic behind that. It's not for fun's sake that those 2 products are kept together on a particular shelf. Just on the basis of past trends, they observed that those two products are better sold together, right? And then they eventually thought that those two products should be kept together on a shelf, and people are more likely to buy both of them together rather than individually. So that is why. So that is also one of the applications which we use based on the past trendy data, right? So as we go down in this hierarchy, moving from descriptive analytics to prescriptive analytics, we keep on adding value to our data. Earlier, to begin with, it is raw data. And as we move from descriptive analytics to prescriptive analytics, and we are recommending, we are prescribing what should be done, we are actually doing some kind of value addition. So that is to be kept in mind. So let's talk about some of the sample questions which are coming in these two categories. Categories broadly means the category of the past and the category of the future. Like descriptive is a category which talks about the past. So we can ask these type of questions like, what were our sales in the past? What was our market share? What product was most popular at that time? So these are the questions which deal with the past. And predictive, prescriptive, what are the expected sales? What is the expected market share? And what product should we market to our customers, right? So this is something which, these questions are dealing with the future, right? Now, very, very important, because I talked about this particular aspect earlier also. We cannot begin without asking proper questions related to our business. And we must follow a life cycle, because business analytics can be a very, very expensive proposition, very expensive proposition. So we should not dive straight away into usage of business analytics tools without making ourselves aware of the life cycle of this entire complex process, right? So it is a scientific method for business analytics, and it is a very, very commonly used method, that is CRISP-DM, that is cross-industry standard process for data mining. And this particular model explains the entire life cycle which we use in our business analytics journey. So initially, when I talked, I have already emphasized on understanding the business, right? What kind of requirements the business is having, first of all. Asking ourselves the right questions related to the business is a part of this particular step. This is the first step, right? It is a 6-step process. The first step is business understanding. So you need to ask yourself the right questions. Then we need to make ourselves well aware of the data, that is data understanding, what kind of data we are having. Is it clean data, or is it filtered data? Is the data containing a lot of noise, right? So we need to make ourselves aware about the data which we are using, what kind of data we are using. Is it the ordinal data? Is it the interval group data, right? So what kind of data we are using? So that data understanding must be there. Then whatever data we have, always keep in mind that will not be, if we are collecting from primary sources, secondary sources, that will not be a clean data. It will be having a lot of messy things, right? So we need to prepare our data according to the requirement, according to the questions which we have asked from the business. So we need to prepare our data well, right? And afterwards, we need to prepare a fine-tuned model, right? So modeling comes after data preparation, because this data will be fed to our model. And once we create a model, our job is to evaluate that model and fine tune it as and when required, because model might not be giving us the right predictions what we want. So our job is to keep on evaluating this model and keep on refining it unless and until we are ready with the right kind of model which can be straight away deployed in the business, right? So this CRISP DM, that is cross industry standard process for data mining, is very, very useful life cycle. And from now onwards, we are going to touch upon all these steps one by one, right? So what comes under business understanding and what comes under data understanding, we are going to touch upon all these steps of this life cycle one by one. Now, this is something which talks about the improper usage of business analytics. If we straight away jump onto the tools, then we might end ourselves into a crash, right? So don't rush into business analytics because it is a cute thing to do, or it is a fancy thing to do, right? So don't jump into business analytics just because of fun's sake. So always revolve your business ideas, and always talk about this life cycle which has to be adopted properly in business analytics. So first is your business understanding. Now, this is the first step. We should always start with some kind of business problems, right? Belonging to a technical field doesn't mean that you will straight away start your journey with coding or start your journey with developing charts, right? So we should always start with some kind of intuitive business problems. Now, what kind of problems, right? So we can have a problem where we need to optimize the pricing to boost our revenue. So this is one of the problem, right? Because the revenue is falling because the pricing which the company has kept is not optimum. So it has to optimize its pricing, and then only the revenue can be boosted. Then there is another problem, that is customer segmentation. So the market has to be segmented according to the customers to prepare some kind of tailor-made offers for those customers, right? So it has to be a customized thing, not offering everything to every customer. So they need to segment the customers so that offers can be tailor-made for a particular segment of customers, right? So that is also one of the problems. Then there can be a problem pinpointing the bottlenecks and failure points in our supply chain. So if there is a supply chain which is having a lot of faulty bottlenecks, right? So identifying those bottlenecks and pinpointing them, and later on resolving the problems which are lying in the supply chain, because of which the products are getting stuck and not reaching to the ultimate destination. So that is also one of the problems, right? So these three problems, they are catering to different functional areas of the business. The first one is catering to pricing decisions. The second one is catering to the market segmentation based on the customer profile. And the third one is catering to the problem areas in the supply chain, right? Now, second phase comes is after business understanding. The second phase is data understanding. We need to understand the data. Now, there is a huge difference between the data we possess and the data we need, right? So that is why we need to understand what kind of understanding we should have, how much data is available, from where it is available, from all sources. We need to actually think about those sources also. Are those sources authentic, right? So what kind of data is available? What quality of data is available? Then what granularity? Granularity is how much depth the data is having, right? How atomic the data is. Frequency of updation, right? Is the data getting updated frequently, or is it occasionally, right? So all these types of questions we need to ask ourselves before embarking on to the next step in the journey of business analytics. Now, think about this scenario as a sandbox, and not touching the live data which is useful in production. Very, very important point. Whenever we are exploring our data, we have to explore our data creating a backup first. And that backup is contained inside a sandbox. Sandbox is something which is a safe place to explore our data, right? So all these data understanding jobs we have to do inside a sandbox. And we do not have to touch the live data. We have to create a sample of the data, and then whatever data understanding jobs we can do, we have to do with that sample only, right? Because if we intermingle with the live data, then we might disrupt the entire production process which is going on simultaneously, right? So that is very, very important for data understanding. Then comes your data preparation. This is extremely time consuming most of the time. And why? Because actually, because of this, right? Because there are a lot of different formats people use when they store data. And for example, there are thousands of people working for an organization, and they, based on their own whims and fancies, they store data, right? And there is no standardized format. So as you can see in this particular table, in the third attribute, the city is missing. And in the fourth attribute, there are two different formats which are being used in the state column, right? So in one field, you are seeing the New York, in the other field, you are seeing NY. So some people are using New York, some people are using NY. So how to actually standardize it? So that is what this particular work, this particular job comes under data preparation, where we are supposed to standardize our formats of storing the data, right? Irrespective of how they are getting stored earlier, but we have to, at one point of time, we have to standardize, right? As you can see in the last attribute, the date formats are also not being aligned. So after data preparation, it comes to a stage where we need to prepare a model, right? And in the modeling, what is a model? If we go into the dictionary definition, it is a simplified description of a system or process to assist calculations and predictions. But in layman's language, if we define a model is nothing but a prototype which mimics anything what is happening in the real world, right? You might remember in our childhood days, we used to prepare models using the blocks, right? So, and then we test them. We used to test them, right? So whatever version we are thinking in our mind of anything what is happening in real world, that is a model, right? So here also, we need to first of all prepare a model in business analytics, and that model might be the best version right in the beginning, might not be the best version right in the beginning. That depends on our data collection, that depends on our data preparation, right? That depends on the business questions which we have asked right in the beginning. So a model, for example, a model that predicts the likelihood that a car insurance customer will get into an accident in the next year. So that can be one of the examples of a model which an insurance company has developed in order to predict the occurrence of an accident next year with a particular customer profile. Now, modeling involves all these steps. Whenever we need to prepare a model, we need to do an exploratory analysis, right? And then we need to prepare a list of all those variables which are important in deciding, in answering those business questions. We need to select those variables very judiciously, and we need to also select which type of model we are going to propose. So modeling involves these three steps, and common modeling tools in business analytics arena are Python and R. So I would suggest students to develop their skills in Python, either Python or R. Both. If you develop skills in both of them, then it will be handy. But even if you develop your skills in either of these two platforms, still it will be very, very useful for all of you. Last is, after preparation of a model, it comes to evaluation and deployment. Because now what you have done, You have defined your business question, you have understood and prepared your data, right? And you have built your model, and now you are going to evaluate whether the model you have developed is giving you the right predictions, is giving you the right answers to the questions or not. So that is something to do with evaluation and deployment of that model into the industry. Now, how effective is the model? Because after preparing our model, we can't simply walk away, right? We have to think about how effective is this model? Is this model need some kind of fine tuning? Or is this model enough for answering our questions, right? Are we prepared to deploy it or launch it into the market, right? Now, there are some popular analytical tools which might be useful for you, and you should develop your skills in all these popular tools. Microsoft Excel, I must recommend that this is the best analytical tool still available in the market, right? And it can act as a starter for you. Why? Because it can work on smaller data sets. And I don't pre-assume that you all will be having bulky big data type data sets right now. So you'll be having very small data sets to practice, right? And Excel provides almost all the features of business analytics, pivoting, right? And your other features of analytics, which allows you to explore and analyze your data sets, right? Then comes your visualization tool, your Tableau, very, very beautifully developed software that is Tableau desktop, and it is a freeware. You can visualize your data with beautiful set of dashboards and charts, right? Then comes your Python language, which allows you to code and customize your models and develop some statistical models, right, in Python language that can make predictions. You remember we talked about predictive analytics. Python is a handy tool for doing this predictive analytics because it can make a lot of predictions uh, around your data, and you can develop, you can use those predictive models to decide later on. Then comes your SQL. SQL allows you to communicate and interact with databases. So whatever databases you have, if you want to pose your queries, if you want to ask something from that database, derive something out of that database, you can go for this conventional tool that is called SQL. And instead of these two, Tableau and Python, you can also use Microsoft Power BI, and in place of Python, you can use R language also, right? The functionalities are similar. There is no difference in the functionalities. Now, you have some of the careers in analytics. You have your, technology side, that is database administrator. You have if you have skills in statistics and you have skills in mathematics, right, that would be handy. You need to also interact with the business people, the sales representative, for example, why the sales are dropping down, why the sales are shooting up, right? So you need to also talk to all these stakeholders. Now, these are some of the business designations which we use for business analytics domain people: business analyst, business intelligence analyst, analytics manager, then data analyst, data scientist also, right? So whatever jobs you will see in this area, they will mention a keyword that is software. You need to know these key tools, right? So what you can do is you can select a tool, download its free trial. Trials are free. You can download any of these tools. Tableau is also freeware. You can download it. You just order a pizza and spend a weekend to learn about this tool. That would be the best strategy, because there is no one, there is no one tool which can be learned through a particular paid course. What you can do is you can simply download a free trial and just surf through some of the videos on YouTube, order a pizza, and spend your weekend in order to learn this particular tool. So And then you can mention all these tools on your CV, and they'll be very handy for your selection into all these analytics companies. Even to talk about our company also, we hire people in the area of business analytics and software development. Now we'll talk about some of the applications which are very, very useful use cases in business analytics, just to make you aware about what kind of use cases we already are experiencing in the industry. One use case I already explained to you right in the beginning as regards to our company, where we use these data analytics to feed our marketing agencies so that they can make use of their data in order to decide the positioning of billboards and signboards. This is also one of the very, very prominent areas. This area is financial sector, how to acquire better customers. So as you can see, this credit card is a co-branded credit card, right? It's a co-branded credit card owned by Citibank, and Citibank collaborated with Jet Airways and gave some of the offers, some of the lucrative offers to all the customers of Citibank who are traveling more frequently through Jet Airways, right? So definitely Citibank must have given a thought before giving all these offers. As you can see on the right-hand side, these offers were given to all those customers who are traveling frequently through Jet Airways. And it's a co-branded card, right? No joining fee, annual fee, add-on fee, or renewal fee. Worldwide acceptance, right? International acceptance is there. Then they offered 2 JP miles for every rupee 100 spent on this card. Then there were some additional features like extra baggage allowance, free upgrade vouchers. So what do you think? Why all these offers were particularly given to only those customers who were frequently traveling through Jet Airways, right? The answer is very simple. Citibank conducted an exercise, a business analytics exercise, through which they came to know that most of the profitable customers, they were travelers, and they were traveling through Jet Airways, right? As you can see on the left-hand side, lot of data digging is going on, lot of historical data was being collected, right? And lot of patterns were being derived, and lot of insights were being developed, right, by Citibank. Then Citibank thought that why not to collaborate with Jet Airways and offer our customers all these lucrative offers, right? And what is the meaning of a profitable customer? Who all customers are profitable for a bank like Citibank? Profitable customers are not those who are paying their balance on time, right? Profitable customers are those who are not paying their balance on time because of some urgency, or they are not having that much of time that they can keep track of their payments, right? So Citibank actually, when they dig deeper into the data, they found that people who are traveling most of the time internationally, they are having very less time to keep a track of their payment schedules, right? And that is why they most of the time they miss their crucial payments, right? And that is why they were paying interests to the banks like Citibank. They were paying a lot of interest amount to the Citibank. So Citibank realized that because these customers are profitable customers, why not exclusively pitch something which might be useful for them only exclusively, not for all of them, right? So this is something and which actually eventually became a hit. And most of the travelers, they bought this particular card and they used this card in lounges, in everywhere, even when they were traveling internationally in countries other than India. So they were using these cards, right? So this is, and there is one more prominent area which you might have heard of, providing recommendations on the products which you might have already bought on these e-commerce portals like Amazon, right? So if you buy something on Amazon, or if you try to buy something on Amazon, Amazon always recommends you that in addition to this particular product, you can buy something else also, which might be of interest to you, right? So now, how come Amazon know that that you might also be interested in buying another book which is related to the one which you are already buying or which you are trying to buy, right? So as you can see here, competing on analytics is being tried by a customer, and in addition to that, there are 2 more books which are being recommended by Amazon. Now there are recommendation engines inside all these e-commerce portals, right? Now, if e-commerce portal like Amazon was just a small store, then you might think about a person sitting over there and recommending to its customers that please buy this book also. It might be of use to you, right? Because you are buying this, so there can be another book which you can club with this, right? And you can buy this also. But actually, Amazon is not that small a store. Amazon has spread its wings all across the globe, right? Now, because of this huge scalability, Amazon has to deploy some of the artificially intelligent engines into its e-commerce portals, right? Now, what that has enabled Amazon.com to have no human intervention in designing these recommendations, right? In proposing these recommendations, there is no human intervention, right? And most of the time, people are actually likely to buy the recommended items also, other than the one which he was interested in, right? So this was a big hit in this e-commerce portal, e-commerce space. Now there is one more use case, very, very important, and this I actually happen to see being used in IPL also, right? Very, very prominently used in IPL here in India. It is called sports analytics, and AC Milan, it's is a football team, right? First, they used this particular sports analytics technique to identify those players who are prone to injuries, right? It might be an ankle injury or it might be a groin injury. So based on their psychological data, based on their physiological data and orthopedic data, they somehow predicted, based on the analytics, that who all players are more likely to suffer from an injury in near future, right? Now, what that helped for those teams, that helped their physios to work closely with those players so that the problem could be rectified as soon as possible. And those players can be match ready. And they can avoid those injuries in the future, right? So this particular analytics was being used by AC Milan. It's a very beautiful use case. You can actually read it on Google. And this team, although it was formed way back in 1899, but analytics was used just of late. So, and in IPL, which I was mentioning, even the player selection of players is entirely based on analytics. Your Mumbai Indians team and your this Bangalore team, they are using these predictive models. Based on these models, they are deciding. They have done away with those selection committees and then deciding which player to play and which player is not supposed to play. They have done away with those selection committees, right? Now they are entirely relying on these predictive models, that who all players will actually be performing based on their past data, and also based on the players similar to their profile. So it's not, in absolute sense, they are judging whether a player is capable to perform in the future or not. They are also judging in relative sense also, right? Not in absolute sense only, but in relative sense also, they are judging whether a player is capable enough to perform in future or not. So that again boils down to the models which we discussed in predictive analytics, right? So it is something to do with player performance and team strategies. Now, these are all the industries which are using analytics, and it is becoming popular now. The most popular industry which is using this business analytics is CRM, that is customer relationship management. You might have heard about, or you might be experiencing some kind of text messages you people are receiving on your mobiles when you happen to visit a particular retail mall, and you exchange, you give away your data, your birthday, your anniversary dates, and they keep on messaging you, they keep on telling you these kind of offers are available and you can make use of all these offers. So why it is happening? Because those retail stores, those big retail malls, they are already having a CRM engine well in place, making use of these business analytics tools, and there is no human intervention again. So they always, right on time, they keep on telling you that these offers are there, because you might have shown interest in those kind of products in the past. So based on your past history, based on your profiling, based on your occasions also, like your anniversaries and your birthdays, they keep on announcing, they keep on telling you some of the offers which might be of interest to you. So that is also one of the areas, CRM. Then banking, it is there. Healthcare, HR is there. HR analytics, again, very, very, very popular nowadays, because gone are the days when HR manager used to see through all the resumes manually and then find out which particular candidate to hire. Gone are the days. Now, HR managers, what they do, they have a team of HR executives, and HR executives feed the data in standard format, and they deploy an analytical tool. Based on that, only few candidates, they actually come up as the candidates which will be called for interviews, right? So all the candidates need not be interviewed nowadays, and all the candidates need not be going through a process of filtration and selection, right? So most of the candidates, they can be rejected right in the beginning, even before having to be looked by the HR manager, right? So this HR field is also one of the prominent fields which are using this business analytics. Then we have got fraud detection, science, social networking also, right? Credit scoring, as we have already mentioned. Then we have insurance sector also, right? So there are a lot of sectors which are making use of this business analytics, and it is getting popular day by day. Now, these are some of the common problem areas which common problem analytics questions, right? So because I started this presentation with making you aware about the questions which businesses do have in them, right? And we need to always talk about these questions. So we can again just have a look at all these questions, like credit card companies. What kind of questions do they ask? Who should I offer my credit cards to, right? So what are my potential subscribers? Who all can be my potential consumers, right? How do I decide on the credit limit for each customer? Very, very important. You might have come across a lot of cases where the credit limit tends to be reduced, right? So earlier, the credit card company offered 2 lakh rupees, and then they suddenly, all of a sudden, they reduce the credit limit. Now, what is the reason behind that, right? And how to decide that particular thing? That comes in the domain of business analytics. How do I fix the interest rate? Very, very important. Interest rate क्या होगा? ये बहुत important question है, right? आज आप देख रहे हो interest rate reduce हो रहा है, right? Even I personally booked my car, and I was astonished, surprised to know that the interest rate on my car is just 7.5%. Earlier, it used to be more than 10. Now it is just 7.5%, which is being offered to me. So I was surprised. So what is the reason behind that? This fluctuation of interest rates, right? How do I identify fraud? How to identify fraud before it actually happens? That is the main motive, right? Because when the fraud happens, then it is of no use to identify the reasons why it happened. Rather, we should be able to predict when it is going to happen, right? And how do I predict bankruptcy so that credit card companies are well aware beforehand, right? Then comes in, then some questions are there in retail section. How do I stock the products in order to maximize my profitability, right? Because it should not be the case that inventory is piling up, right? And the products are not getting sold at a rapid rate. So we do not want a piling up of our stocks and inventory. How do I market to my customers to maximize my appeal? So marketing strategies also needs to be designed. How do I price new and existing products in my store? How do I design promotional strategies to maximize customer benefit? So all these questions are pretty vital in the area of business analytics. Some FMCG companies, how do I price my product so that it stays competitive in the market of fast moving consumer goods? How do I optimize inventory to minimize the costs? Again, how do I determine if a particular ad campaign is working or not? Right? I might have launched an ad campaign which might not be working in a particular area, but might be useful in a different area, right? So that also is one of the key aspects, right? After launching an ad campaign, what is the return on investment ROI from my marketing budget? Whatever I have fixed in my marketing budget, is it going to be effective? Is it going to give me something on my investment? So that also needs to be decided. Then telecom, how do I manage credit limits for my postpaid connections? How do I sell more value-added services? You might have seen just of late, there are a lot of value-added services which are coming up in the telecom sector, right? So telecom has been revolutionized, especially with the inception of Jio, right? The Jio platform has completely revolutionized this telecom sector by introducing more and more value-added services. So just because they were aware of their competitors and they were aware that what competitors are not doing, they were aware also that what actually the subscribers want, right? Based on their business analytics engines, they were aware that what subscribers want. So they were able to launch all those value-added services in the telecom sector. Then we do have hotel industry. Again, how do I manage room pricing and occupancy rates to maximize the revenues? Right? You might have seen in recent times, in COVID times, right? The five-star hotels were slashing their prices like anything. They were making their rooms available at 2,000 rupees a night. Five-star hotels. Even I also personally used one of the services from Ramada. So I was again surprised to see the rate. It was only 2,000 rupees a night. So, so based on all these models, they decide that this time it is going to be 2,000, but later on maybe in pretty good times it might be more than 10,000 rupees a night. Right? How do I estimate the lifetime value of a customer? Right. So again, this is also being decided by the hotels and how it is going to impact the turnover of the hotel or now एनालिटिक्स हो सकता है एनालिटिक्स कई एरियाज में अच्छा काम करता हो लेकिन एनालिटिक्स is not the only way out. There are some areas where analytics has actually acted as a misnomer, and analytics was actually of no use. And you can say that analytics was not of much use, but there was a different scenario. Like this first case study, Amazon actually launched this feature that allows us to look inside a book, only a few pages, right? Inside a book, we can have a look at that book, and we can come out or we can decide whether to buy that book or not, right? But this feature was launched out of intuition, out of gut feeling, right? There was no analytics to back up. Why? Because there was no past history that people who looked inside the book were eventually the buyers of that book, were eventually the customers of that book. So there was no past history available. There was no past historical data. When this feature was introduced for the first time, Jeff Bezos, uh, owner of this Amazon, he intuitively decided that let's launch this feature, and it was very expensive to develop also. Why? Because uh, you know testing 120,000 books on Amazon for this feature and coming out with a conclusion that looking inside a book can actually lead to buying was a very, very expensive proposition, right? You can very well imagine 120,000 books, uh, you know, looking inside those books, exploring those books, and then deciding who all turned out to be the customers was a very, very expensive proposition. So your Jeff Bezos decided that let's launch this feature, and it turned out to be a big hit, right? And then secondly, we also do have one use case where analytics doesn't work. This was the crash of home mortgage market in the US, right? So people were buying homes because US was a prosperous market. People were, availing loans also from the banks, and risk profiling was good at that particular time. Uh, Banks also disbursed a lot of loans to their customers based on their risk profile, but eventually it turned out to be that the entire mortgage market crashed in the US, right? Now people started blaming business analytics for that. Why? Because they thought that because of business analytics, loans were given to all these customers and eventually they defaulted, right? But business analytics was not to be blamed. Why? Because it was actually whatever decisions you take based on these procedures of business analytics, they have some kind of pre-assumptions, right? And what was the pre-assumption at that particular time? The pre-assumption was that the market keeps on prospering and there will be no economic slowdown. So that was a pre-assumption. Because the market was going pretty good, so there was a pre-assumption that market will keep on going good and people will be paying back their loan amount or their EMIs on time. But that pre-assumption turned out to be wrong, right? And in the scenario of economic downturn, these conditions, these preconditions, these assumptions were no longer valid. So that is why there was a crash in home mortgage market in the US, right? So all these analytics use cases were very useful, right? And the cases which were successful and the cases which were not so successful, they can be very useful use cases. They can be very useful case studies for all of you to explore and dig deeper into them, and develop your own insights about these business analytics. uh, in nutshell, I can say that you all will be absorbed for one or the other domain which we have talked about in today's particular lecture. And thanks a lot to the opportunity which was being given to me for speaking on this particular topic for a little while. I hope I have added some value to all of you. And thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of my college and Science Galaxy Club, I would like to express my gratitude to Mr. Juneja. Thank you so much, sir, for this very informative and knowledgeable session. Now, I would like to invite my friend, Dr. Rajkumari, Assistant Professor, Science Department, to present vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am. Rajkumari, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Data analytics is very important and happening topic these days in market. have shared the ground detail of this topic, where it is applied and what are the prospects to use it, understanding, market and applying the analytics, which language support the process and other details. Thanks for such a wonderful declaration. Now, good evening, everyone. So we have now at the end of this session, Raj Kumari on the behalf of Science Department would like to thank sir for your wonderful presentation, logistic explanation on this topic. Now I would like to thank our sincere thanks to Dr. Savita Bhagat ma'am, Principal ma'am, for providing permission to organizing this webinar and inviting Mr. Neeraj Juneja to conduct it. Now, I also thank to our convener, Dr. Ankur Agarwal and Dr. Priya Kapoor ma'am for their guidance and support in all directions. Last but not the least, I thank the wonderful audience for their cooperation in making this event successful. Once again, I thank all the audience for your support and the cooperation. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, all of you. It was a pleasure to talk like this in front of all of you, and lovely interacting with the students again, because it's my alma mater. Actually, I used to teach earlier, and it's quite touching and emotional for me to deliberate on this particular topic in front of such a lovely audience, especially students and teaching fraternity. Thanks a lot, all of you.
Sir, I'll just request you for a while. There is a question being asked in the chat box. If you can answer this, please. One student has asked a question that what kind of scientific research should we enter from now onwards, so that to have a dominant grasp on the in the field of the topic.
Okay, so what kind of scientific research or study he can opt for, right? This is what he is asking?
Yes.
So right now, what they can study is they have a course, they must have a course in data mining, right? So first of all, if somebody is interested in this business analytics, they should study that particular course in finer details. They should focus more on that particular course of data mining. They should be good in databases also, right? And in addition to all these, they should study something about machine learning. They should study about machine learning techniques. They should also study some theoretical background of statistics, right? What all central tendency measures are there? What all statistical results we can make use of, like tests, you know? So statistics is one of the key areas which students can study, because eventually what I have seen in students, they keep on adding to their scientific knowledge, they keep on adding to their technical knowledge, but they are not well versed with these statistical techniques. So they need to develop statistical background. If they don't have, they need to develop their statistical background. That is very, very important. So as far as background is concerned, these areas, databases, data mining, machine learning techniques, statistics, that is one of the areas which they can make use of.
Thank you so much. I hope the question has been answered, Divya. Thank you so much, Neeraj sir, for joining us and sparing your time. I think we are towards the end of the webinar. And thank you very much. Thank you all the participants for joining in and had a wonderful session. Thank you all. That's for the day. Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening. Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.